Ep127, and yes, you are correct. That is a prime number. Fear, not fear of prime numbers, mind you. Fear of publishing, fear of the story, fear of what? And this is something that you have to deal with yourself. What are you afraid of? It's just a story. You've written something and you want to put it out there. So clearly, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of comparisonitis. Oh, people are going to hate it. It's not as good as somebody who's been doing this professionally for 30 years or somebody who has all the best editors and they beat it up over years and finally, hey, here's the story we're going to give the world. As an indie, you don't have a lot of that, but you still can tell a good story. And this is, I was talking to a fellow thriller author this morning about when the readers find that the newest thrillers from their favorite authors who have been doing this for 30 years might not be as good as newer authors who are self-published, and they don't know the difference. It's just the book's out there. The titles, the covers are done by the same cover artist nowadays. And they find that they may find that these are every bit as good or better than some of the newest from their old favorites. But you can't get there unless you work at it. These authors have been working at it for so long. You can't compare your first book to their 30th book or their 30th year doing this. And it's okay. The readers are forgiving, more forgiving than you will ever know, in that they'll read through a story that may have a typo or two, may have some issues, may have some strangled verbiage, and it's okay if the story's sound and you learn from it and get better and better. And this is the thing. I just finished my 106th book, I think, and turned it over to my beta readers. And I didn't think it was an exceptional story. Excuse me. I knew it was written well just because I practice so much. I write so much. And when I handed it over, I just gave it to them. I didn't say, "Hey, this book sucks. I think it sucks." Trying to fish for compliments or anything. Just gave it to them. Said, "Hey, I got other stuff to do. Good luck. Thanks. I appreciate you reading it." And when they came back, one of them told me this was the best of the series. And I thought the first book was the best, and they told me the second book was the best. And I had such a hard time writing the second book. It just wasn't coming to me. I had to work at it. But what was I afraid of? I was afraid, my fear is that I'm growing complacent in not trying to tell a better story, in running out of good ideas, when that's not the case at all. When I finally get it down, it's because I'm thinking so hard at it and it's my job that I write stories, but it's not it's not detrimental to the stories themselves. And as you change states of mind over the course of a month or 2 months or a year writing a single book, the great thing is that the readers won't know when you're feeling down, when you're feeling up, when something happened in your life. They're just going to read one contiguous story and take it as a whole. So what are you afraid of? Face it. Understand where it comes from. Dig deep. Is it embarrassment? Hey, you wrote a book. Most people say, "Oh, I could write a better book than that." Then do it. And they don't, because it's hard. So writing any book, even if it's not great, is still, you've written a book. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that. There's a lot to be ashamed of if you write a bad book and you quit because, hey, I had to be great at the beginning. Guess what? Nobody is great their first time out. Well, maybe there is, but that's 1 in a billion. That's 6 people on the planet right now. Everybody else, everybody else is, you got to get better with practice. So live, learn, publish, get it out there. Embarrassment. Your first book, and you get slaughtered. I published my first book and I got murdered. The covers were horrible. And then I wrote the second book and I wrote the third book. And you know what's embarrassing is when people say, "Oh my God, you're a great writer." I find that more embarrassing than, "Hey, your first book sucks." Hey man, I know that. I knew that, but I think it's a good story. So it's enjoy the ride and keep getting better. Never think that you are at the pinnacle of your capabilities, the pinnacle of your career, because there's always a higher that you can go. Yes, I made more money 2 years ago, 3 years ago. my biggest ever. And 2020 was my second biggest ever. And in between, there was a low year. Does it mean I was getting worse? No, it just means a different business strategy, because making money is about the business side of of being an indie, and not necessarily that the stories were bad or anything like that. So risk is as low as you want to make it. So if you're worried about losing money publishing, well, then you can do it on the cheap. You take a little bit longer, you learn cover design, you do these things, you beat it back and forth, and you can publish it without high cost. If you're worried about, hey, I'm spending $10,000 and I made nothing, then don't spend $10,000. Manage your risk. This is how you manage your fear. I have fear of losing money. Well, then don't spend any money. Still, you can get that story out there. And then embarrassment, well, it wasn't a great story. Well, let's get some other people involved, and then manage that risk and how much you can spend as you're going through it. So take care of your risk, understand where your fear comes from, address it, face it, and get it out there, because people who say, I always want to write a book, they almost never do. And when you do, you should be kind of jonesing to write the next book, because, I know I can do better. Don't keep beating that first book up, because that's the fear of, I'm going to publish it, people are going to hate it, so let me try it, I got to keep rewriting it. Stop it. You're not going to learn unless you get other feedback, especially feedback from people you don't know, strangers. Hey, I think you're my target audience. Well, know for sure. Get it out there and see what your target audience is, and then do great things as you keep moving forward and keep getting better. All right, almost 7 minutes. I'm out of control. You guys have a great day.